as well as junior scientist. You're about for similar science too. I'm glad you're here. I'm always glad you're here because spending time with you is one of the best things I do in a day. So let's get started. We're gonna talk about thermometers. What is that thermometer? Now I'd like to start with an interesting story. It's interesting to me, and I hope it is interesting to you. I had a little friend, and I was trying to explain, and her what if thermometer is so somewhere in the middle of a conversation. She had a she had a she had a Eureka experience and said, I get it at the Mamatar measures heat. And cold, I said, yeah, you could look at it that way. But if you look at coldness as the absence or this less heat that is only measuring heat. And I think to think of thermometer as a device is only measuring heat rather than saying is measuring how cold and is measuring how hot something is. I think if we just say it measures heat, something can have a lot of heat. Something can have a little heat but is measuring heat. Maybe that will make it a little easier for us today. So let's talk about thermometers. The devices sometimes they contain a liquid mercury. Mercury, which is an element with heat, which means it gets bigger hard and it shrinks when there's less. Heat or something is cool or cold for. So you take the element and you put it in a tube. When when it expands, what what do you think is gonna happen in that tube? Hmm? But goes the mercury. Mercury. Now, when there's less heat, the mercury contracts, which means gets smaller. Smaller pulls into itself. Let's look at those two words again. Expands mercury. Expands when it's hot and when there's less. That mercury contracts. So bad. To our thermometer is expanding because it's hot. Uh, 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 goes the mercury. Now it's going to contract because there's less heat. What do you think is gonna happen to the mercury when it contracts? Down, 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 down. So let's say you come home from school. You come home from your friend's house, so you come home for the playground, the park, not feeling so well, stomach may hurt. You may have a headache and you weren't hot in what you were wearing earlier, but suddenly you're feeling hot. And the adult, that you live with puts a thermometer, a mercury thermometer, in your mouth. What will happen if you have a fever, which means your body temperature is rising, your mercury is gonna go. But let's say that you don't have a fever. You're just normal temperature, the human temperature. Normal temperature for human is approximately 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 98.7 degrees. So it probably be around there now. Not all thermometers have mercury. Some thermometers are digital, which means they have little and weight, little, a small little device that's sensitive to temperature, and that's what's measuring the heat in your body, the heat or lack of heat, the amount of heat in your body. So just because you don't have a mercury thermometer doesn't mean that you can't find out what your temperature is. There are digital thermometers that we can use to sometimes thermometers are used when cooking or cook. Can put a food thermometer into the food to see how hot that food is. So whatever you have a regular thermometer or a mercury thermometer, the monitors tell us how much heat something has. Thanks for coming. My cell is Junior Sciences as usual. You knocked it out of the park. See you next